the wisdom to know the difference between good and bad and the results of your actions. But in this instance, what does wisdom look like? What will it look like today here?
Music.
Exactly.
The Artist in Residence program really helps with my work in terms of the fact that we use music to be the driving force of helping us with regards to embedding Aboriginal content. Because within the project itself, we have mainstream students, non-Native students, and Native students who work together to make this program successful.
The teachings of the seven prophets is called the seven fires. And it comes from a Magdawan person. And he released these teachings in his book, the Mishona's book. And what we're using this teaching for is to help us recreate the teaching in musical form.
In the very beginning of the project, we sit down with the students and we state, these are the learning targets. The students then, in groups, they discuss how are these targets going to be met? What are they going to look like? What are they going to sound like? And that's really important in terms of the fact that these students are coming from different courses. They're coming from either the grade 9 or the grade 10 Native Studies course, or they're coming from a language course either at the secondary or the elementary level. And the next step is how to connect it with music to give that message. The first thing they have to understand is that music comes in very many forms. And music is appreciated by different audiences. And Glenn provided a variety of music and lyrics, and the students discussed them in terms of did it make, what emotional response did they in fact get from it.
One thing about Aboriginal culture we've talked about is that Aboriginal culture is, the language is so important, and in fact is the foundation of our culture. And these teachings help us to understand who we are as Anishinaabe people.
In September, we meet as a planning team. And in our case, where it's very special, we have our Aboriginal language teachers. We have one from our partner schools, which is Georgina Wolski. We have from our secondary, Isidore Toulouse, and myself as the Aboriginal curriculum consultant. And the three of us work very closely with Glenn Murray, and we decide what is our project going to look like. What do we want from the project in terms of our own programming? For me, it means that literacy is that assisting the students in terms of their oral and the written communication and using a variety of strategies in which to get there.
In terms of social studies and then a cultural identity, this project is helping the students to, I guess, build a sense of a stronger connection to their culture by learning about these prophecies, how it applies to their present day life and how it teaches and reflects on their history. And that's sort of charts the progress of Native history. And we're doing that, creating this symphonic piece that charts each step of the prophecy, the seven fires, so 7 movements for each fire.
I'm here as part of an artist in residence program through the York Region District School Board. So schools select different artists to come in and work with student groups doing various mediums and forms of art, mine being songwriting. With this particular project, it's having a theme and a clear set direction right from the onset, so that when you bring it to the students, there's a higher excitement level to it. It's not like we're going to write a piece of music without a direct purpose to it. It's like we are writing a music that has cultural connections to it. It talks to history, to strengthen self-identity, and there's a greater sense of ownership in what they're doing. So there's a bigger buy-in.
In this school, we've had a variety of programs, and over the years of progression that we've worked here between Ms. Sylvie Smith and I, we've worked in various components to bring Aboriginal culture into the school, be it language, be it Native Studies, grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12. So in that component, The Ojibwe language program that we have is open to both Native and non-Native kids. So it's recognized as a credit course for a modern language class. The Native Studies class is also open to both Native and non-Native kids. So we get a mixture of students taking both classes. It creates a great dynamic for the non-Native students because it gets them in tune to who we are as Aboriginal people.
Okay, I really enjoy this class because I'm learning more about like how to play an instrument. I'm learning more about my history and stuff.
This is a really great experience, and I like how I can play my native instrument in it. It's a really great experience to learn about the prophecies and the many different cultures. It's very spiritual, because when I play it, I always get this tingle in my hand, and then it continues out through my body. So it's a really interesting instrument to play.
I think the difference here also is I really work strongly on cultural identity and self-identity and focus on that more perhaps than in other programs.
Actually, I'm only 1/8 Native, but it's the side that I'm most proud of, and I just wanted to learn more about the culture of what I am, you know? I learned about the 7 fires and the 7 prophets and their prophecies, and how it's involved with my life today, how we might be the 7th or 8th fire now. And I have learned about music, which is a huge, huge part of any culture, which personally I think that when it comes to culture, the first most important thing is language, and the second is music.
In our planning, it's very difficult to come up with the dates because a good majority of our students, in fact, live on our First Nations community, which is on an island. So transportation in itself isn't easy. So with that, we have to keep that in mind when it comes to the time of year in which we're going to offer the project.
One thing I want to say is I'm really, really impressed with what everybody's done. Because I remember when we started, I've never written a symphony before or even tried to. And I think when we say truth, that we started with truth, we all just started on the same foundation. We were just learning how to do this. And remember, we had a bunch of blank pages. And if we look at what we've done, like all this is all our brainstorming, all our work, taking the words of the 7 Fires prophecy down into this song. And then our hard work in creating the music is over here. We have 7 movements of music that's over 12 minutes long from people who have never done a symphony before. And I think that's amazing.
So, okay, now, you guys with your drum, do you want to practice that one here in terms of? Okay, do you want to follow? Good. Excellent.
My mom used to play piano, and she played like really old tunes that sounded like old powwow music and stuff like that. I don't even know how she did it, and I was thinking of that, so I was like just kind of playing around with the lower notes, and it kind of came out like.
We originally created the parts for the beginning of the symphony. So the girls came in here and they've never played flute before, and they learned how to play the flute in this area here, and then they transcribed all the fingerings for the parts that they came up with for the creation. And then when I came in here to rehearse and listen to them what they'd come up with, we just heard the natural acoustics in here.
So we were just kind of playing around, and then we came up with the beginning part, and Glenn had come up here to see what we were doing, and we showed him, and he goes, "That sounds really cool. How about we separate the parts? Like you do the very beginning and you do the second part."
And we ended up staying and writing most of the first part of the creation in here, and then we took it out to the drummers, and it somehow just seemed to sync up. But so I wanted to capture that same experience and feel that we had in here.
Just come to class with an open mind and come prepared to learn. I think too often we come with the teaching agenda and we miss out on the learning. And I find if you come in open, with an open mind and ready to learn as much as the students that you are expected to teach, that you yourself will grow and they will grow even faster than if you come in and say, this is my agenda, this is my curriculum, you will follow, you will learn, I have this system in mind, and then they become disengaged. And when we started, I just said to them, I've never written a symphony before, but we're gonna try. And it, you know, give the avenue for failure too. Say, you know, I said it may not work, but we're gonna try and we're gonna learn together. So that's probably the best advice I would have, I think.
Okay, love. Unconditional love is to know when people are weak, they need your love the most. Love can also, another word for love in this instance, in terms of what would it look like, is what? Yes.
Us all coming together to create a song all together.
Okay, yes?
Respecting one another.
Right, because we're all at different places in our journey in terms of music. Okay, and being supportive. Excellent. This project, Artists in Residence, really allows a differentiated instruction approach because of the fact that the students are recognized for the abilities that they come in with. We really center on their strengths, and then the aspects of their learning that they are challenged with, we give them ample opportunities in which to help them work through it. So even the strategies that we select in terms of the grouping, in terms of the way the information is given to the students, we give a wide range so that it allows for all learning styles to be acknowledged and be honored. Students are always involved. That's the neat thing about this project in itself, is that it's student generated. So the students right up front know what's going to be expected. They know that what their responsibility in the project is, and they also know how they're going to be assessed and where they're going to be assessed.
Exact same thing. With your shakers, I want you to over-dramatize it a bit. So get your left arm around that chord or whatever's comfortable. And just so you can really just go.
What really drives me, that I'm passionate about, is students and our Aboriginal students. I want to make sure that they have all the opportunities and some that our mainstream students have, because they're our future. They in fact come in many faces, many sizes, and from very, very diverse backgrounds. They may come from a First Nations community. They may come from living on the mainland. They may have had exposure to their cultural background early in life, or they may, for the very first time, hear about who they are as a people in this room in the First Nations Studies Centre.
Hand flute.
The Artists in Residence program allows these students to come together as a circle and feel equal. That they bring, each of them, every one of them brings a gift. And we as teachers are the facilitators to bring out those gifts so that all of those gifts can be enjoyed by everyone involved in the program in the future to come.
Everybody
because the students that come here realize once the program is finished, it doesn't mean that it's finished. It means that they're going to produce something that can be listened to or viewed in years to come. And they'll be very, very proud of it.
1, 2, 3, 4. One more. Start to bring it down.